The blue-white marble of Earth hung peacefully in the viewport as Commander Alex Wright finished his morning coffee. From the Mars Colonial Station, his home planet looked serene and untouchable. 30 years of space exploration had changed humanity. They had met 3 other species, established trade routes, and built colonies on Mars and Venus. Peace had lasted for decades. Alex set down his mug and straightened his uniform. A diplomatic meeting with the Ardonian representatives would begin in 20 minutes. His thoughts drifted to his wife, Dr. Olivia Wright, who was leading xenobiology research back on Earth. Their daughter, Lucy, had just turned 18 and started at the International Space Academy in Houston. He smiled, proud of his family and their contributions to humanity's peaceful expansion into space. "Commander, we're picking up unusual readings at the edge of the solar system," said Lieutenant Ryan Phillips, interrupting Alex's thoughts. "Multiple objects entering at high speed. They're not matching any known signatures." Alex frowned. "Contact. Earth Command. Put all systems on standby alert." Within minutes, the situation escalated. The objects were massive ships, a fleet unlike anything humans had encountered before. They moved with precise coordination, bypassing the early warning systems at Neptune and Uranus. "We've established communication with the lead vessel," Ryan announced. "They're calling themselves the Vraxian Imperium. They're requesting to speak with Earth's leaders. Patch it through to my station and alert Earth Command that they need to join this call," Alex ordered. The screen flickered to life, revealing a creature with gray-blue skin stretched over an elongated skull. 6 yellow eyes blinked independently of each other. When it spoke, its mouth barely moved, but the words came through clearly in English. "We are the Vraxian Imperium. We have observed your species for some time. You occupy valuable space with minimal development. Your technological progress is ... inadequate. Your presence is inefficient." Director Elizabeth Jameson from Earth Command joined the transmission. "I am Director Jameson of Earth United Nations. We welcome peaceful contact with new civilizations and offer friendship." The Vraxian made a sound that might have been laughter. "Friendship is a concept for equals. You are not our equals. We have determined that negotiation would be wasteful." The transmission cut. Alex stared at the blank screen, a cold feeling spreading through his chest. "Sir, the fleet is accelerating toward Earth," Ryan shouted. "They'll reach orbit in 18 minutes. Warn Earth Command. Full evacuation protocols." Alex ordered. On Earth, Dr. Olivia Wright was reviewing bacterial samples when the alarms began. Emergency lights flashed across the xenobiology lab. "All personnel, this is not a drill. Unknown hostile fleet approaching Earth. Proceed to emergency shelters immediately," announced a calm voice over the speakers. Olivia grabbed her emergency tablet and rushed toward the shelter. Her first thought was Lucy at the Space Academy. She tried calling her daughter, but couldn't connect. The network was overwhelmed. At the Space Academy in Houston, Lucy Wright felt the ground shake. Through the windows, she saw strange lights in the sky, dozens of them, descending through the atmosphere. Her instructor, Captain Ben Miller, burst into the classroom. "Everyone to the underground bunkers now," he shouted. Lucy followed her classmates down the stairs. "What's happening?" she asked Captain Miller. "We're under attack," he said grimly. "Some kind of alien fleet." They didn't respond to any communication attempts. The first impacts hit while they were still moving underground. The building above them collapsed, sealing them inside the stairwell. On Mars, Alex watched in horror as the Vraxian ships positioned themselves around Earth. They didn't fire conventional weapons. Instead, they activated devices that glowed with purple energy. "What are they doing?" Ryan whispered. Their question was answered moments later when the readings from Earth showed massive gravitational distortions. Entire cities were being crushed under suddenly intensified gravity fields. Oceans rose in giant waves that swallowed coastlines. The planet's crust buckled and cracked. "My God," Alex breathed. "They're killing everyone." Communications from Earth became chaotic and then sparse. The Mars colony received fragmented distress calls, images of destruction, pleas for help they couldn't provide. Dr. Olivia Wright managed to send a message from a research bunker. "Alex, if you're receiving this, it's bad. Most major cities are gone. The gravity weapons... No warning. I'm with a group of survivors. We're going dark to avoid detection. Find Lucy if you can. I love you." In Houston, Lucy and 15 other students dug their way out of the collapsed stairwell after the attacks stopped. They emerged to find the academy destroyed. The city around them was flattened. In the distance, Vraxian ships hovered, deploying smaller craft that began landing. "They're coming down to finish the job," Captain Miller said, his voice hollow. "What do we do?" asked Lucy. "We hide. We survive. We fight back when we can." On Mars, the colony leadership gathered to assess the situation. The Vraxian fleet had positioned ships around Mars as well, but hadn't attacked yet. "We need to evacuate to the outer moons," said Alex. "Jupiter's moons might give us cover. We can't fight them directly." "What about Earth?" asked Ryan. "Earth is Doc. Alex couldn't finish the sentence. Reports indicated that 70% of the population had been killed in the initial attack. The survivors faced Vraxian ground forces landing across the planet. Final transmission came through from Admiral George Wilson, the highest-ranking military officer still alive on Earth. "To all human colonies and outposts, Earth has fallen. The attack was unprovoked and without mercy. Billions are dead. We now understand that the universe is not governed by diplomacy or mutual respect. It is governed by power. For 30 years, we extended friendship to the stars. In return, we received genocide." The Admiral's face was streaked with blood and dirt. Behind him, fires burned in what had once been the United Nations Command Center. "Effective immediately, all human forces are authorized to use any means necessary for survival. We have transmitted the complete data on Vraxian biology and technology that we've gathered during the attack. Use it. Humanity has one directive now: survive and return. Remember this day. Remember what being civilized cost us." The Admiral looked directly into the camera, his eyes burning with fierce determination. "Spread this message to all survivors. We're done being civilized." The transmission ended. In the silence that followed, Alex Wright made his decision. "Prepare the colony for immediate evacuation," he ordered, "and download all data from that transmission. We're going to need it." On Earth, Lucy Wright stood with Captain Miller on a hill overlooking the ruins of Houston. Vraxian ships landed in what had once been the city center. She picked up a broken piece of metal, gripping it like a weapon. "What now, Captain?" Miller's eyes narrowed as he watched the aliens begin to set up equipment. "Now we show them what humans do when backed into a corner." Across what remained of Earth, the message spread among survivors: "We're done being civilized." It wasn't just words. It was a promise. 3 months after the attack, Frank Porter wiped sweat from his forehead as he studied the valley below. The former NASA engineer had never expected to become a resistance fighter at 52 years old. But the world had changed. The small group he led had set up camp in the mountains of Montana, far from the Vraxian mining operations that now covered much of what had once been major cities. "They're moving again," said Diane Russell, lowering her binoculars. The young Air Force pilot had found Frank's group 2 weeks after the attack. "Scout ship, smaller than usual." Frank nodded. The Vraxians had established a pattern. First came scout ships, then mining equipment, then the extermination teams to clear any remaining humans. Get everyone ready to move, Frank ordered. We'll head deeper into the mountains. But as Diane turned to go, the scout ship suddenly veered off course. Smoke trailed from its engine. The craft spun wildly before crashing into the trees about 2 miles from their position. Frank and Diane exchanged glances. Could be a trap, she said. Could be an opportunity, Frank replied. Get Sam and Kyle. We're going to check it out. The 4 of them approached the crash site cautiously. The scout ship had carved a deep trench through the forest before coming to rest against a rocky outcropping. Its hull was cracked open, and strange fluid leaked onto the ground. Movement inside, whispered Sam Peters, a former park ranger who knew these mountains better than anyone. He raised his rifle. The hatch of the ship creaked open. A Vraxian stumbled out. It was smaller than the ones they usually saw in the mining operations. Its gray-blue skin was stained with dark fluid around a wound in its side. All 6 of its yellow eyes blinked rapidly as it spotted the humans. It reached for a weapon at its side. Sam fired first. The bullet hit the Vraxian's arm. It screeched a high, piercing sound that made them cover their ears. But it didn't fall. Their skin is tougher than it looks, Frank called out. Aim for the eyes. Kyle Johnson, who had been a police officer before the attack, fired twice. The Vraxian collapsed. Is it dead? Diane asked, approaching cautiously. No, Frank said, noticing the alien's chest still moving. And I think we should keep it that way. Get the medical kit. We're taking it back to camp. Dr. Catherine Sullivan had lost everything in the attack. Her husband, her 2 children, her home in Seattle, all gone in minutes. The only thing that had saved her was being deep underground at a military research facility when the gravity weapons hit. Now, she stared at the unconscious Vraxian tied to the table in the mountain cabin. You brought one of them here, she said flatly to Frank. Why? Because we need to understand them, Frank replied. You're the only scientist we have. We need to know their weaknesses. Catherine's face hardened. Before the attack, she would have been horrified at the thought of experimenting on a sentient being. Now, she merely nodded and opened her makeshift medical kit. I'll need samples, she said. Blood, tissue, and their technology. Bring everything from the ship that you can carry. On Europa, one of Jupiter's moons, Commander Alex Wright stood in the control room of the hastily constructed human outpost. The Mars colony evacuation had been partially successful. They'd lost 3 ships to Vraxian patrols, but most had made it to the outer planets where the aliens showed less interest. Any word from the other outposts? He asked Lieutenant Ryan. Phillips, Venus colony is gone, Ryan reported grimly. The lunar base went dark 2 weeks ago. We've had scattered communications from Earth, but nothing coordinated. Alex rubbed his eyes. He hadn't slept properly since the attack. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw Earth as it had been. He thought of Olivia and Lucy, not knowing if they were alive or dead. Sir, Ryan said, interrupting his thoughts, we've just received a transmission. It's using the old emergency frequencies. Alex straightened. From where? Earth. It's Admiral Wilson. The screen flickered to life, showing the same man who had sent the final message from Earth Command. He looked thinner, with a jagged scar across his face that hadn't been there before. This is Admiral George Wilson to all surviving human outposts. If you're receiving this, respond with your location and status. Earth Resistance has established a secure communication network. We are initiating Protocol Omega. Alex felt a surge of hope for the first time in months. Protocol Omega was the contingency plan for extinction-level events. A plan that had seemed like an academic exercise when it was created. Open a channel, he ordered. Tell him we have 3,000 survivors on Europa and 200 on Ganymede. Ask about ... double quotes. He hesitated. Ask about Dr. Olivia Wright and Lucy Wright. On Earth, Lucy Wright had learned to move silently through ruined cities. Captain Ben Miller had taught her and the other Academy survivors, well before a Vraxian patrol, had found their hideout. Only Lucy and 3 others had escaped the attack 2 months ago. Now she crouched behind a collapsed wall, watching a Vraxian processing center. The aliens had set up these facilities in every region, extracting Earth's resources and cataloging. Human technology. Lucy had seen human prisoners being taken inside. None had come out. "What do you see?" whispered Zach Rivera, one of her fellow survivors. 6 guards. 2 at the main entrance, 4 patrolling the perimeter, Lucy replied. 2. Many to get past. So we wait? Lucy shook her head. No. We need to know what's in there. The resistance needs information. After the attack, scattered groups of human survivors had begun to find each other. A resistance network was forming, passing messages and supplies through carefully guarded channels. Lucy had connected with a group led by a woman named Emma Gray, who had once been a general in Earth's defense forces. If we can't get in, maybe we can make them come out, Lucy suggested, an idea forming. That night, they set a fire at an abandoned fuel depot half a mile from the processing center. As they had hoped, 4 of the 6 Vraxian guards left to investigate. Lucy and Zach slipped past the remaining 2. Inside the facility, they found rows of Earth's minerals and metals being sorted and packaged, and something worse, humans in glass cells being studied like specimens. Some were already dead. Others looked close to it. "We need to get them out," Zach whispered. "We can't." "Not yet," Lucy replied, though it broke her heart. "But we'll come. Back with help. First, we need intelligence." They found a control room with Vraxian symbols glowing on screens. Lucy used a small device Emma had given her to copy the data. They didn't understand the Vraxian language yet, but the resistance had people working on it. As they turned to leave, Lucy froze. A door opened, and a tall Vraxian entered. Unlike the others they had seen, this one wore elaborate armor with symbols. That seemed to indicate rank. It looked directly at them with all 6 of its yellow eyes. Lucy reached for her weapon, but she knew she wouldn't be fast enough. The Vraxian was already raising its arm. Then something unexpected happened. Another human stepped into the room behind the Vraxian. A woman with short gray hair and a familiar face that Lucy hadn't seen in 3 months. Dr. Olivia Wright pressed a device against the Vraxian's neck. The alien convulsed and collapsed. "Mom?" Lucy whispered in disbelief. Olivia looked up, her eyes widening. "Lucy?" She rushed forward, embracing her daughter. "I thought you were dead." "I thought you were too," Lucy said, tears streaming down her face. "We don't have much time," Olivia said, quickly regaining her composure. "That sedative won't last long. We need to go." "How are you here?" Lucy asked as they hurried toward the exit. "I've been working with the resistance group. We've learned some things about the Vraxians." Olivia's expression hardened. "They aren't just taking our resources. They're studying us to make sure we're really defeated. They've done this before to other species." Outside, they ran into the night, away from the facility. "We need to get this data to Emma," Lucy said, showing her mother the device. Olivia nodded. "And I need to get you to our main base. Your father would never forgive me if I found you only to lose you again." "Dad's alive?" Lucy asked, hope rising in her chest. "Last we heard, he made it to Europa with the Mars evacuation. We've established limited communication." Olivia's pace didn't slow as they moved through the ruins. "The Vraxians think they've won, Lucy. They think we're just scattered survivors. But they don't understand humans. We're organizing, planning." "Planning what?" Zach asked. Olivia's eyes gleamed in the darkness. to show them exactly what it means when humanity stops being civilized. 1 year after the genocide, Dr. Catherine Sullivan stared at the modified microscope in her underground lab. The equipment was crude compared to what she once had, but it was enough. The Vraxian tissue sample revealed its secrets under the lens. She made careful notes as Frank Porter watched from across the table. "I think I've found it," she said, not looking up. "Their cellular structure is different from ours in a key way. Their immune system can't handle certain compounds that are harmless to humans." Frank leaned closer. "You're saying we can make something that hurts them, but not us?" Catherine nodded. "A bioweapon specifically targeted to their biology. Before the attack, I would have considered this a war crime." Her eyes hardened. "Now I consider it justice." The Montana Resistance Base had grown over the past year. What started as Frank's small group had become a center for gathering intelligence and developing weapons against the Vraxians. They had captured 2 more aliens and recovered substantial technology from downed ships. "How soon can you have something ready?" Frank asked. 2 weeks. Maybe less if I can get more samples from the new captive. A radio on the table crackled. "To life. Base, this is Lookout. Vraxian patrol approaching from the northwest. 6 units, heavy weapons." Frank grabbed the radio. "Everyone to battle stations. Catherine, secure the lab and the specimens. We may need to evacuate." Catherine began gathering her most important notes and samples. As she worked, she glanced at a small photo tucked beside. Her microscope, her husband and children smiling on a beach, taken the summer before the attack. She slipped it into her pocket. "It won't take anything else from us," she whispered. On Europa, Commander Alex Wright reviewed the latest transmission from Earth. The quantum entanglement communicator was humanity's greatest advantage. The Vraxians couldn't detect or intercept these messages. Small enough to hide, these devices connected the scattered resistance across the solar system. "Admiral Wilson reports success with Operation Shadownet," Alex told his officers. "Resistance cells on every continent are now coordinated. They've begun hitting Vraxian mining operations simultaneously." Lieutenant Ryan Phillips nodded. "And our shipyards?" "The first 3 vessels are ready," Alex replied. "Stealth technology reverse engineered from the Vraxian scout ship we captured near Ganymede. They can't detect us if we stay in Jupiter's radiation shadow." The door opened and a young woman entered. Lisa Patel had been a physicist on Mars before. The evacuation. Now she led the technology division. "Commander, we've completed the analysis of the Vraxian propulsion system," she said. "We can adapt it to our ships. It will make them twice as fast and 3 times more maneuverable than anything we've built before." Alex felt a surge of grim satisfaction. "How soon can we implement it?" 2 days for the first ship. A week for the entire fleet. Alex turned to the star map projected on the wall. Tiny lights showed known Vraxian positions. The aliens had spread throughout the inner solar system, establishing bases on Mercury and Venus. Their main fleet orbited Earth, with smaller contingents patrolling Mars and the asteroid belt. "They still don't know we're here," he said. "That's our advantage. We strike when they least expect it." Ryan hesitated. "Sir, there's something else. We've detected unusual signals from Saturn's rings. They're not Vraxian." Alex frowned. "Another alien species?" "We think so. The pattern is unlike anything in our database. Prepare a small scout team. I want to know who's out there and if they're friend or foe." In a hidden bunker beneath what had once been Chicago, Lucy Wright studied the Vraxian command console they had stolen during their last raid. Her mother, Dr. Olivia Wright, worked beside her, translating the alien symbols. "This confirms what we suspected," Olivia said, pointing to a series of charts. "They're not just mining resources. They're looking for something specific." "What?" Lucy asked. A rare element they call vasrium. According to these files, it's essential for their faster-than-light drives. Earth has one of the largest deposits they've ever found. Lucy understood the implications immediately. So this wasn't random. They didn't attack us because we were weak. They attacked because we had something they wanted. Exactly. And theirs. More. Olivia pulled up another file. They've done this before. At least 7 other civilizations that we can identify from these records. The door to the command center opened. General Emma Gray entered, followed by a tall, thin alien with pale green skin and 4 arms. Lucy tensed, her hand moving to her weapon. At ease, Emma said. This is Ambassador Kellner of the Ardonians. They have a proposal for us. The Ardonian stepped forward. Unlike the Vraxians, its eyes were warm and expressive. When it spoke, its voice was melodic and clear. The Vraxian Imperium destroyed my world 3 of your years ago, Kellner said. A few thousand of us escaped. We have been hiding, watching, waiting for an opportunity to strike back. When we detected your resistance activities, I was sent to make contact. How do we know we can trust you? Lucy asked. Kelnar extended one of its 4 hands, holding a small device. This contains the complete technical specifications of all Vraxian ships and weapons. We have been gathering this intelligence since our defeat. Olivia took the device cautiously. There are others like us, Kellner continued. Species who have survived Vraxian culling. Separately, we are too few to challenge them. Together, with humans leading the alliance, we might stand a chance. Emma's face showed no emotion. Why would we lead? We're nearly extinct. Because, Kellner said, in 1 year, you have accomplished more against the Vraxians than any other species has in decades. Your adaptability, your ruthlessness since the attack. The Vraxians have never faced anything like humans before. At the Montana base, Frank Porter watched as Vraxian ships circled overhead. His people were hidden in underground bunkers, but it was only a matter of time before the aliens found them. Get everyone to the escape tunnels, he ordered Diane. Take the research and specimens to backup Site B. What about you? She asked. Frank checked his weapon. I'm going to buy you some time. Before she could protest, the radio crackled again. Unidentified craft approaching from the east. Not Vraxian design. Frank grabbed binoculars and looked to the horizon. A sleek black ship approached rapidly, moving with impossible agility as it weaved between the Vraxian vessels. Beams of blue energy shot from its hull, striking 2 Vraxian ships. They exploded in brilliant flashes. The remaining Vraxian ships scattered, apparently trying to regroup. The black ship pursued them relentlessly, destroying each one. When the sky was clear, the mysterious craft landed in the clearing near the base. Its hatch opened, and a human figure emerged. Admiral George Wilson walked down the ramp, his scarred face breaking into a rare smile. Frank Porter, he called out. I've been looking for you. Frank approached cautiously. Admiral? How did you get that ship? We've been busy, Wilson replied. This is the first of our new fleet. Vraxian tech combined with human ingenuity. And it's time for the next phase of Protocol Omega. He handed Frank a secure tablet. On the screen was a message addressed to all resistance leaders worldwide. Frank read it quickly, his eyes widening. Is this possible? He asked. Wilson nodded. It's already begun. We're calling it Operation Silent Storm. The Vraxians think they've won. They think we're just scavenging to survive. His eyes glinted with cold determination. They have no idea what's coming. On Saturn's largest moon, Commander Alex Wright stood face to face with representatives of 3 alien species who had survived Vraxian attacks. Besides the Ardonians, There were the crystalline Nelvari and the insectoid Zith. They had been hiding in Saturn's rings, building their forces. "We propose an alliance," said the Nelvari leader, its crystal body reflecting the dim light. "Humans have proven themselves worthy partners in this fight." Alex thought of Earth, of the billions dead, of his family separated across the solar system. "We're not looking for partners," he said firmly. "We're looking for victory. If you want to join, U.S., understand one thing. We will not stop until the Vraxian Imperium is destroyed." The aliens exchanged glances. "The humans have changed," whispered the Zith representative. "They are not the peaceful species the Vraxians described." "No," Alex agreed, his voice cold. "That species died in the Genocide. We're something new now. Something the Vraxians created but never expected." He extended his hand to the aliens. "We're done being civilized. Are you with us?" One by one, they reached out to accept his offer. 2 years after the Genocide, Lucy Wright stood on the bridge of the stealth vessel Shadow. Through the viewscreen, she watched the rings of Saturn glitter like diamonds against the blackness of space. The ship hummed with power, human and alien. Technology merged into something new and deadly. "All systems ready," reported Zach Rivera from the weapons console. "Bioweapon canisters loaded and primed," Lucy nodded. At 20, she now commanded her own strike team. The girl who had once studied at the Space Academy was gone. In her place stood a hardened soldier with a jagged scar across her left cheek, a reminder of a close encounter with a Vraxian patrol 6 months ago. "Message from command," said Emma Gray, who served as Lucy's second-in-command. "Operation Silent. Storm begins in 30 minutes. All ships are in position." Lucy felt a grim satisfaction. For 2 years, humanity had planned this moment. While the Vraxians believed they were dealing with scattered resistance, humans had been building a fleet in the shadows of the outer planets. The alien allies Ardonians, Nelvari, and Zith had contributed their technology and knowledge. "Send the final confirmation," Lucy ordered. "Shadow team is ready." Across the solar system, similar scenes played out on other ships. Humanity's surviving military leaders had coordinated the largest operation in human history. Each strike team had a specific target. Lucy's mission was to attack a Vraxian processing ship where human prisoners were being held. Her communicator beeped. A private message from her mother appeared on the screen. "Be careful. Your father and I are proud of you." Lucy allowed herself a small smile. After their reunion a year ago, Olivia had joined the scientific team on Europa, working with her husband. Again, Commander Alex Wright now led the main battle fleet, while Dr. Olivia Wright had helped develop the weapons they would use today. 5 minutes to jump," Emma announced. "All personnel secure for faster-than-light travel." Lucy strapped herself into the command chair. The stolen Vraxian FTL technology had been modified by Lisa Patel's team. It would allow them to appear directly above their targets with no warning. 3.2.1. Jump, the stars blurred. Around them, Lucy's stomach lurched as the ship tore through space. A moment later, they emerged directly above Earth. Below them, a massive Vraxian vessel hovered over what had once been northern Africa. Its bulbous shape marked it as a processing ship where humans were taken for experimentation and slave labor. "We've been detected," Zach called out. "Vraxian defense systems activating. Deploy countermeasures," Lucy ordered calmly. "Prepare boarding teams." The Shadow released a cloud of small drones, another innovation from the Resistance. They swarmed around the Vraxian ship, confusing its sensors and disabling external weapons. "Boarding point secured," Emma reported. "Teams ready." Lucy stood and checked her weapon. "I'm leading the first team. Emma, you have the bridge." In the airlock, 20 soldiers waited in battle armor. These weren't traditional military personnel. They were survivors who had lost everything and trained for this moment. Lucy recognized the cold determination in their eyes. It mirrored her own. "Our mission is clear," she told them. "Free the prisoners, plant the bioweapon, return to the ship. Anyone who can't keep up will be left behind. The Vraxians gave us no mercy. We'll show them the same courtesy." The airlock opened. They moved swiftly through the docking tube and into the Vraxian vessel. The first aliens they encountered died. Before they could sound an alarm dot near the Jupiter shipyards, Commander Alex Wright watched as his fleet emerged from hiding. 50 ships of various sizes, each built in secret over the past 2 years. They moved into formation around his flagship, the Retribution. "All vessels report ready, Commander," said Lieutenant Ryan Phillips. "The Ardonian and Nelvari ships are in position near Mars. The Zith have engaged Vraxian forces in the asteroid belt." Alex studied the tactical display. Operation Silent Storm was a coordinated attack on every Vraxian position in the solar system. The element of surprise was their greatest weapon. "Begin primary assault," he ordered. "Target their command ships first." The human fleet accelerated toward the Vraxian patrol group near Jupiter's moon Io. The aliens, caught completely by surprise, scrambled to form a defensive line. "They're trying to send a warning to their main fleet," Ryan reported. "Block their transmissions," Alex ordered. Nothing gets through. The human ships fired in unison. Beams of concentrated energy technology adapted from the Nelvari cut. Through Vraxian shields like they weren't there. The first wave of alien vessels exploded silently in the vacuum of space. "Phase 2, Alex commanded. "Deploy the phase shift torpedoes." These weapons, developed by Dr. Catherine Sullivan, contained the bioweapon that targeted Vraxian biology. They could pass through ship hulls before detonating. Releasing the agent directly into the alien vessel's dot in Montana, Frank Porter watched the sky from a mountain overlook. Beside him, Admiral George Wilson used special binoculars to track the space battle that was visible even from Earth's surface. "It's working," Wilson said, satisfaction evident in his voice. "The Vraxian ships are breaking formation." Below them, in the valley, a combined force of human resistance fighters and Ardonian soldiers moved toward the largest Vraxian mining operation on the North American continent. Frank had spent months planning this attack. "Our turn," he said, raising his radio. "All ground teams, begin assault." Across Earth, similar scenes unfolded as humanity rose up against its oppressors. For 2 years, they had hidden and planned. Today, they showed what humans could do when pushed too far. On the Vraxian processing ship, Lucy led her team through corridors littered with alien bodies. The bioweapon was already taking effect on the crew, causing their exoskeletons to deteriorate rapidly. They reached the central chamber where human prisoners were kept in transparent cells. Hundreds of men, women, and children looked up in shock as Lucy's team entered. "We're getting you out," Lucy called to them, gesturing to her soldiers to begin opening the cells. A massive Vraxian commander appeared at the far end of the chamber, surrounded by guards. Unlike the others, it wore a sealed environmental suit that protected it from the bioweapon. "Humans," it said, its voice translating through a device on its suit. "You cannot defeat the Imperium. We are eternal." Lucy aimed her weapon. "You made a mistake when you attacked Earth. You thought we were weak because we were peaceful. You thought we were primitive because we valued life." She fired, hitting one of the guards. "You never considered what would happen when you took everything from us." The Vraxian commander charged forward with surprising speed. Lucy dodged its first attack, but the second caught her across the arm. Pain flared as its claws tore through her armor. The room erupted in chaos as both sides exchanged fire. Lucy rolled away from another attack and found herself backed against one of the cell walls. The Vraxian loomed over her, its 6 eyes gleaming behind its protective mask. "Your species will be forgotten," it said, raising a clawed hand for the killing blow. A blast of energy hit the Vraxian from behind. It staggered forward, then collapsed. Behind it stood a human prisoner who had grabbed a fallen weapon. "I don't think we will be," said the prisoner, a thin man with hollow eyes. "In fact, I think the Vraxians will remember humans for a very long time." Lucy nodded her thanks and got to her feet. "Plant the charges," she ordered her remaining soldiers. "We're blowing the ship once the prisoners are clear." Across the solar system, the carefully planned attack unfolded with devastating efficiency. Human and allied ships struck Vraxian positions simultaneously. The bioweapons spread through their ranks, causing panic and confusion. On the Retribution, Commander Alex Wright received updates from all battlefronts. "The Mars contingent is retreating," Ryan reported. "Earth resistance forces have taken control of 7 major mining operations. Lucy's team has freed over 800 prisoners from the processing ship." Alex allowed himself a moment of pride. "Send the final order," he said. "All ships advance on the Vraxian command vessel. It's time to end this." The main Vraxian command ship, a massive structure, twice the size of anything humans had built. Before the attack hung in orbit above what had once been Europe. As the human fleet approached, it began to move away, gathering its remaining forces for a retreat. "They're running," Ryan said in disbelief. "Not far enough," Alex replied coldly. "Humanity's message needs to be delivered. The Vraxians need to understand what happens when you turn a peaceful species into warriors." The human fleet closed in for the final attack. 5 years after the genocide, Commander Lucy Wright stood at the observation window of the new Earth space station. Below her, the blue planet was healing. Green had returned to areas that had been scorched by Vraxian mining operations. The rebuilding of cities had begun, though the population remained a fraction of what it once was. Lucy touched the scar on her cheek, a habit she had developed over the years. At 23, she now led Earth's Defense Fleet 50 ships that patrolled the solar system constantly. The uniform she wore carried the emblem of the Terran Survival Directive, the unified government that had replaced individual nations after the war. Deck, Commander Alex Wright had become Admiral Wright after the final battle with the Vraxian command ship. His hair had more gray now, and lines of experience marked his face. "The Ardonian delegation has arrived," Alex said. "Your mother is already in the conference room with them." Lucy nodded and followed her father through the station's corridors. 5 years ago, the human counterattack had driven the Vraxians from the solar system. The victory had been costly, but complete. In the aftermath, humanity had changed fundamentally. The peaceful species that had welcomed alien contact was gone. In its place stood a unified, vigilant civilization that maintained its compassion for allies, but showed ruthless efficiency against threats. The conference room doors slid open. Around a large table sat representatives from Earth and 3 alien species, the Ardonians, Nelvari, and Zith. Dr. Olivia Wright stood at a display screen, presenting data. "The terraforming of Mars is proceeding ahead of schedule," she was saying. "Within 10 years, it will support full human habitation. We've incorporated Ardonian atmospheric processors with human genetic engineering to speed up plant growth." Lucy took her seat beside General Emma Gray, who now coordinated Earth's ground forces. Across from them sat Frank Corder, his beard now fully white. After the war, Frank had declined a military position, instead leading the Earth Recovery Initiative. That focused on rebuilding the planet's ecosystems. Ambassador Keller of the Ardonians spoke next. "The Galactic Survivors Alliance now includes 17 species who suffered under Vraxian attacks. The human victory has inspired many who are in hiding to emerge and join us. Dr. Catherine Sullivan entered the room, carrying a tablet. Her bioweapon had been crucial in defeating the Vraxians. Now she served as humanity's chief scientist for defense research. My team has completed analysis of the latest deep space scans, she announced. No sign of Vraxian activity within 10 light years of our solar system. The defensive perimeter is holding. After the war, humanity had established an early warning system extending far beyond Pluto. Unmanned probes constantly monitored for any sign of returning Vraxians or other potential threats. Earth would never again be caught unprepared. Admiral George Wilson, now the head of the Terran Survival Directive, spoke last. The scar across his face had faded somewhat, but his eyes remained as intense as ever. 5 years of peace, he said, bought with blood and sacrifice. We honor those we lost by ensuring their deaths were not in vain. He looked around the table. Today we face a new challenge. Our long-range scouts have detected a transmission. The Vraxian Imperium wishes to establish communication. A murmur ran through the room. Lucy felt her muscles tense. What do they want? Asked Frank. They're sending a diplomatic vessel, Wilson replied. It will arrive in 3 days. They claim to seek peace negotiations. Peace? Emma scoffed. After what they did. Lucy studied the faces around the table. She saw the same mixture of anger and caution that she felt herself. The Vraxians had killed billions. They had attacked without provocation, without mercy. But humanity had survived, and rebuilt, we will meet them, Wilson decided, but on our terms. Their ship will stop at the outer defense perimeter. Lucy, your vessel will escort their representatives to the station. Maximum security protocols. 3 days later, Lucy stood in the docking bay as the shuttle from the Vraxian diplomatic ship landed. Her security team surrounded her, weapons ready. The shuttle's door opened slowly. 3 Vraxians emerged. They were smaller than the warriors Lucy had fought during the war, their skin a paler blue. They wore no armor, only simple robes with markings that indicated diplomatic status. Each had a translation device attached to their throat. I am Envoy Zrel of the Vraxian Imperium, said the lead alien. We come seeking dialogue with the leaders of Earth. Lucy said nothing as she escorted them to the conference room. Inside waited Wilson, Alex, Olivia, and representatives from each ally species. The atmosphere was tense, charged with memories of war and loss. The Vraxian envoy placed a small device on the table. A gesture of our sincerity, it said. This contains the coordinates of all surviving human captives, taken during our ... occupation. We will return them as a first step toward reconciliation. Wilson's face remained impassive. Why should we trust anything you offer? Because the Imperium has changed, replied Zrel. Your resistance showed us something we had not encountered before. No species had ever driven us from a world we claimed. It has caused ... reconsideration among our leadership. Lucy listened skeptically. She had seen too much Vraxian cruelty to believe they had changed. We propose a formal peace treaty, continued Zrel. Recognition of Earth and its colonies as sovereign territory. Non-aggression pacts, perhaps in time, even trade. And if we refuse? Asked Alex. Then we remain as we are. Enemies watching each other across the void. But know this, you are not the only species who lost in our conflict. The Vraxian fleet you destroyed represented 1/3 of our military strength. We do not wish another encounter. Wilson glanced at Lucy, a silent question in his eyes. As commander of Earth's defense fleet, her opinion carried weight. She considered carefully before speaking. 5 years ago, Earth had one reply to your genocide. We're done being civilized. That hasn't changed, Lucy said firmly. We will review your proposal. But understand this. If you or any other species threatens humanity again, our response will be immediate and absolute. We maintain peace through strength now. The Vraxian envoy's 6 eyes blinked in sequence. A gesture Lucy had learned indicated acknowledgement. One question, Lucy added. Why did you attack us? The truth, Zrel hesitated. For millennia, the Imperium expanded without meaningful resistance. Smaller species submitted or perished. We believed this was the natural order. The alien's voice softened. We were wrong. Humanity taught the Imperium that peace is not weakness. After the meeting, Lucy returned to the observation window. Her parents joined her, one on each side. Do you think they meant it? Olivia asked. About changing? It doesn't matter, Lucy replied. We've changed too. We'll never again mistake kindness for vulnerability. Alex placed his hand on his daughter's shoulder. The universe is watching us now. How we respond to this defines who we've become. Lucy looked down at Earth. Cities glowed as night fell across North America. New structures rose where ruins had stood. Children who had never known the world before the attack were growing up in this new reality. We maintain our compassion, she said finally. We rebuild. We remember. But we never forget what we learned. She turned to face her parents. Civilization isn't about being passive or weak. It's about building something worth protecting and being willing to fight for it. In the darkness of space beyond the station, stars shone like distant promises. Humanity had faced extinction and emerged transformed. They had learned the hardest lesson the universe could teach. Peace was valuable, but it existed only when defended by those willing to fight for it. The galaxy would remember what happened when Earth was pushed too far. When a peaceful species had one reply to genocide, we're done being civilized. And in that moment of transformation, humanity had found not just survival, but a new kind of strength that would ensure they never faced such a threat again.